confidence, I think, is real. The comfort level around his teammates, this setting is real. And he feels good. So I certainly feel he's a couple grades ahead of where he was last year at this point.
Did you start to see that during the playoffs last year? You know, after that first start against the Padres, it seemed like after that he was really dominant.
I think the first, obviously, we've talked about before. I think that Yankee outing, in the summer, and then obviously he went on the IL after that. But yeah, you know, the Padres series, and then he built that into that series in New York against the Mets, and then in the World Series. So yeah, you can see it, and I think that, you know, after last year, I still think that there's a lot more left in there for Yoshi.
When might we see Roki again?
Roki, you'll see Roki next week. I just don't know when, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. We'll see. We're going to talk about it, because obviously then you're starting to get kind of guys kind of working together on the same day. So we're trying to sift through that.
Do you think it's important for him to get in a Cactus League game before we leave here, or the work he'd be doing, whether it's B games, things like that, would be sufficient enough?
Getting in a Cactus League game. Yeah, it's very important. He needs to certainly build up, but also, you know, be in this environment.
Dave, with the injury with Yamamoto last year, are you confident from what you've gathered that that's behind him? I know it's hard to predict, but is there no looking back now as far as that goes? Or is there still, you know, you have to be careful because of what happened?
I don't think that we're being careful. I think we're certainly being responsible, but I do think that where he's at right now, looking out for this season, kind of manage him accordingly, so there's no kind of guardrails.
James Outman's got made some swing adjustments this year. What's your read on what it looks like so far?
It's different. I think early on, you know, he's laying the bat down. I think his posture's better, which should be able to kind of cover the top half of the zone a little bit better, which has been, you know, a place that he's been kind of exploited. It's good to see him square some balls up the last couple days. Hopefully that kind of builds confidence for him, but it's different, which I think last year he certainly needed to make an adjustment, and he did.
He got off to such a good start as a rookie. Where did he kind of get off track last year? Or how?
How? I don't know the answer. I think that, like a lot of young players, when you start to scuffle, you just can't stop that spiral. And I just think for me, yeah, there's some mechanical part of it, but I think that there is a little feeling of the pressure of trying to perform bled into last year, and I just think that we couldn't slow it down. I think that this year he's in a healthy competition. I think that's good. I think he looks good physically as always, and he made the swing change. So he's holding his own right now.
Fair amount of talented young players haven't really, you know, failed much in their careers or had to, you know, go through that. What do you do to kind of help bring them through times like that?
Just kind of continuing to try to run them out there as much as I can, try to instill confidence, try to assure them that they don't need to do more than is capable. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm not in the box with them. The coaches aren't in the box with them. They got to go out there and perform. And playing for our ball club, there's just a high bar. And so you got to perform, and all of our guys understand that.
Speaking of young guys, Jose DePaul in the starting lineup today. Zaire Hope, a guy who's been seen a lot. What have you seen from them, and maybe what are you looking for moving forward?
You know, DePaul a couple days ago was sick, and so he was a little bit behind. So I wanted to get him a start, get him kind of a regular preparation for a game. So I got him in there in the DH spot. Obviously, the tools are there. Really exciting, controls the zone, really offensive player. I think for me, just to get him out there, I'm expecting he's learning from how big league ball players work, how they defend, and not just in the batter's box. And I think Z, Hope, has done a fantastic job. He's opened up a lot of eyes as far as on the defensive side. He plays every pitch. The bat to ball, the power, I think he's very physical. Zaire's he's a good kid. So, I actually like to see those two pushing one another. They have a good relationship. So our position players on the outfield side, we're in a good spot as far as an organization.
And what have you seen out of Dalton Rushing this camp, and especially kind of how his progress as a catcher is coming?
Catching, I think, is going great. He's doing a good job building into the pitchers and trying to listen to the pitching coaches and learn, how major league pitchers operate and think. He's a smart kid. I think in the batter's box, he's trying a little too hard right now. He might have went 0 for the spring last year and had a good year offensively. So I do think that here he's trying a little bit too hard. I would just kind of want him to trust his ability in the box because he's special in the batter's box.
If he impacts you guys this year, do you figure it would come in a catching role, and do you still see a chance where he could factor in somewhere else if you need defensively?
I would see if he factors in this year, I would say it would be behind the plate. I do think that with Fetty, Lockwood Powell, obviously Chris Oakey, we've got a lot of good depth, but obviously Rushing is a guy that we're looking towards in the future. So that's probably where I would see it. Last year we did a little left field. I don't see that kind of playing out this year.
With Freddie, go ahead.
For Shohei, do you have a clear day on when he's going to be batting in a Cactus League game?
I think Shohei was going to play at the Angels Friday.
Right. With Freddie, is he kind of past the test, especially jumping wise, just to play the field tomorrow, or is there anything?
He is going to DH tomorrow, and then he'll be off on Friday. Then we'll make a decision on first base or DHing on Saturday.
Him and Will going to take more at bats back there today?
No. Not sure. I'm not sure. I should know that. I don't know. But Will's going to play on Friday as well. Not Thursday. Friday.
With Bobby Miller.
Bobby is going to throw a pen on Friday. So, which is great. He's coming along. The protocol's going well. He's going to play catch today, and he'll throw a pen Friday.
Is he still in concussion protocol?
He is.
Thanks, yeah.
All right, welcome back to Dodger Heads. We got a special guest today, Bob Nightingale of USA Today, joining us today. Bob, you mentioned to me right before we got on, you're sort of traveling around to a bunch of camps, but something keeps bringing you back to the Dodgers.
Well, so like Dave Roberts said, this is like the epicenter of the baseball universe. It really is. I mean, I've been here 6-7 times, since the Dodgers opened camp. And just so many great stories here, and everybody wants to know about the Dodgers, so we can't get enough of them. Well,
right before we hopped on, I mentioned you got an article on Mookie Betts deciding to play shortstop that just came out on USA Today. What surprised you about kind of picking Mookie's brain and the people around Mookie about this move to shortstop?
Just that he wants to do it. I remember I was in a Padre camp the other day. I was talking to Manny Machado, who moved from short to third base. He goes, why does Mookie want to do this? I mean, he's already won 6 Gold Gloves in right field, and you're opening up yourself to a lot of scrutiny, not having done it, being moved, not having played it since high school. So, big gamble on Mookie's part. You hate for people to have some negativity and say, hey, you're not a good shortstop. And he spent the whole winter trying to prove everybody wrong.
And he seems like, when you read the quotes in there from guys that he's played with, the athleticism that he has, you've been around the game for a while. What he's doing is unprecedented, as far as, I think you had a stat in there that nobody's ever played 100 games in right field and 100 games in shortstop. And yet it seems like everybody believes he's going to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, the only people that have really done that was utility players, not a guy of his caliber. I mean, you remember Robbie Yount, going from shortstop to center field, that sort of thing. So it's usually you go from the infield to the outfield, not the other way around. So yeah, it's just fascinating that he wants that kind of challenge.
Moving off of Mookie and just looking big picture at this roster, obviously there's no shortage of storylines. You mentioned it. For a guy who's covering the game nationally, what strikes you when you walk into this Dodgers clubhouse and you see just the collection of not only major league talent but prospects that are in that room?
Yeah, when first you walk in, seeing that many reporters, you see about 100 reporters a day in there. I always tell people it's like the Yankees and Red Sox combined times 10. But it's just amazing. But yeah, just they're so deep. I really believe they can withstand an injury to anybody and be fine. I don't care if it's Ohtani or Betts or somebody, but they're so deep, particularly pitching staff. You got like 9 starters, 4 or 5 guys who can close. So no one has this kind of depth.
And yet, it feels like the way baseball is set up with the playoffs and that sort of a thing, that the best, collecting this amount of talent is a huge gamble in the sense of it doesn't guarantee you anything. And so, again, you're at the national level. You've heard all this talk about the Dodgers are ruining baseball, that kind of thing. Like, what's your response when people ask you how you feel about how the Dodgers have gone about things?
Well, I mean, they have so much money, they can do it. I mean, the Yankees did that, and everybody said, oh, the Yankees, evil empire. The game went on with the Yankees. I think it's kind of cool to have a superpower. Whether it's the, Kansas City Chiefs, NFL, Golden State Warriors back in the day, Lakers, Celtics, was just fun for everybody to shoot for. But what would be funny was every time the Dodgers have a 3-game losing streak, if they do this year, it's go, oh my God, what's happened to the Dodgers? But you're right about, anything can happen in the postseason. I mean, Dodgers were very fortunate to get past the Padres. The Padres had just as good a team and lost. And this year, for instance, say the Dodgers play those on Diamondbacks, now you're going to go against Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly. Yes, it's tough in the short series.
Okay, I want to shift gears one more time and talk Dave Roberts. Again, sometimes on our show, we get so focused on the Dodgers and just sort of insulated. It's an interesting spot in the managerial sort of contract market with Dave Roberts. Hasn't signed a contract yet. Do you think this is going to be the type of contract that is going to change the way managers are compensated moving forward? Or do you think that Dave has sort of established himself in a way that no other guy is going to be able to point to Dave and say, well, why can't I get paid like him?
That could happen. I mean, right now, Craig Counsell kind of changed it by going from the Milwaukee to Cubs, and he was a free agent. So he had 5-year, $40 million contract. We haven't seen that kind of money since the Joe Torre days, Lou Piniella. Bruce Bochy was up there a little bit. But, when Bochy came back and managed the Rangers, he actually took a pay cut. I think Terry Francona took a little pay cut going from Cleveland to Cincinnati. So, yeah, I think if Dave gets over the $8 million a year range, then it helps manage the market. But it's amazing just how poorly the managers are being paid compared to NFL and the NBA. I mean, there's offensive coordinators in NFL making a lot more than MLB managers. College coaches are making more than a lot of MLB managers. So I think Dave is saying, let me try to help set a precedent here. So when guys start coming on and winning World Series themselves, they can make the same kind of money.
Yeah, and from your perspective, do you think he's going to get there? I mean, I know there's people that have talked about, can he get to $10 million a year? Do you think that's in play for a guy like Dave?
I think it could be. I know he wants that. I know he'd like to eclipse Counsell's record. And, salaries have gone backwards in MLB. And I think he says, wait a minute now, I'm kind of the face of the franchise. And he is. He talks 2 times a day. Nobody from the front office is talking twice a day. And he deserves that. We'll see how long. But he may say, almost like a player, hey, I'll take, $9 or $10 million a year. And you don't have to give me, Mike Scioscia type deal, a 10-year contract. You got maybe a shorter term, 3, 4, 5-year deal.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Bob, thanks for hopping on, and thanks everybody for watching again.
大谷翔平とドジャース、2025年に向けた新たな挑戦、歴史的な5-0クラブの達成、史上初の3度目の満票 MVP、そしてワールドシリーズ制覇、大谷翔平の2024年は、まさに夢のようなシーズンだった。しかし、彼とドジャースの旅はまだ終わっていない。むしろ、ここからが本当の戦いの始まりだ。スプリングトレーニングでは、大谷がバッティング練習を再開し、復帰に向けて順調な歩みを見せている。肩の違和感はまだあるものの、ほぼ思い描いた状態に近づいている。と語る彼の表情には、自信と決意が感じられた。ドジャースの一員として、また新たなシーズンに挑む大谷の姿を見るのが今から楽しみでならない。さらに、今シーズンからは佐々木朗まれという新たな才能が加わった。彼の初ブルペンには多くのメディアが集まり、その注目度の高さを証明した。初日は思うように投げられなかったとしながらも、分厚い才能とメジャーへの適応力の高さを見せつけた佐々木。ドジャースのピッチングコーチ陣、そして大谷、山本といった日本人エースたちのサポートを受けながら、彼がどのように成長していくのか、期待が高まるばかりだ。そしてブレイク、 スネルも新たにドジャースに加わり、ワールドシリーズ連覇を狙うチームにさらなる厚みをもたらす。私は殿堂入りを狙っている。と語るスネルの野心と、クレイトン、カーショーのそばで学びたいという姿勢は、まさに本気度マックス。彼がドジャースのユニフォームを着てマウンドに立つ日が待ち遠しい。もちろん、昨年のワールドシリーズでチームを支えたキケ、ヘルナンデスやブレイク、と来年も再びチームに合流し、2025年のドジャースはさらに盤石な体制に、彼らの経験と勝者のメンタリティが、チーム全体の士気をさらに高めてくれることは間違いない。去年の歓喜を、今年も、大谷翔平が語ったように、昨シーズンの成功はすでに過去のもの。次のシーズンに向けて準備をすることが大切だ。と、彼とドジャースの戦いは、まだまだ続く。2025年も、このチームがどんな奇跡を生み出すのか、目が離せない。そしてあなたも、この歴史的瞬間を一緒に目撃しませんか。ドジャースのシーズンを追いかけ、大谷翔平や佐々木朗まで、スネル、そして全選手たちの活躍を見届けよう。このチャンネルをフォローして、最新情報をお見逃しなく。あなたのコメントも大歓迎。大谷翔平やドジャースに期待すること、見たい試合、そして応援メッセージをぜひコメント欄に残してください。2025年シーズン、さあ行こう。